Okay, great. So, shalom, everybody. Welcome to Jerusalem, virtually, obviously. My name is Lavi Kreiman. I've been a tour guide for around 12, 13 years. Very excited to be here today. And what we're going to do today is we're going to speak about, we're going to talk generally about a little Jerusalem, a little about the old city, the geography. And what we're going to try to do is going to walk through the old city, focusing on the aspects of Temple Mount, but the pilgrimage to Temple Mount, doing the Feast of the Tabernacle, or Sukkot, as I will refer to it. And here we call it Sukkot, so that's how I'm going to call it. So we're going to see the different archaeology in the old city, mainly regarding the pilgrimage to Temple Mount. Then we'll dive in a little deeper, speaking about different aspects regarding this pilgrimage. Okay, so that's my goal for our next session. We're starting over here with a screen that you can see. It's a map from the 1500s by a German priest. And you can see here, all right, you see Jerusalem in the center between the different continents, Europe, Asia, and Africa. And Jerusalem's in the middle of things. Okay, so it's not a geographical map, it's a theological map, you could say. Actually, when you walk in Jerusalem, right by the Jerusalem municipality, you do see they have this map right up on the wall there. Again, Jerusalem's in the heart of things. If we look at it from a geographical point of view, it's interesting to see that that map is not so far-fetched from reality. Okay, you can see over here, Israel right on different continents. You see Asia, Europe, and Africa, and Israel's kind of the bridge between continents. Understanding the geography, by the way, of Israel and of the land helps us understand history much better. Okay, why there's constant wars going on in the land? Because we're a bridge between countries. We're a bridge between Babylon and Egypt. So it's just general remark. When you know the geography, it helps you understand the historical point of view. So you can see over here, Israel's between the different continents. Also, as many of you know, also like agriculturally, the weather-wise, you have kind of a little of Europe, a little of Africa, in different areas, and also even if you look at it over here, Israel, because we're a bridge between continents, you see here birds coming from Europe they don't fly over the Mediterranean. They like flying over land. So again, they're gonna fly down along the coast of Israel, or do it over Israel, and then head down to Africa in the migrating season, and then head back after the end of the winter during spring. So Israel also this bridge is a place for birds flying over. More than 500 million birds fly over Israel every year. So that's just kind of a general remark about where we are. And again, Jerusalem's in the heart of things, also theologically, but also even geographically. Let's zoom in a little to speak about, so you see we're moving in here into state of Israel. You can see the center. Jerusalem is pretty much in the center. Okay, we have in the south here, we have Eilat by the edge of the Red Sea, sorry, and the Mediterranean over here. And if we move in a little closer to Jerusalem, okay, so again, you can see the location of Jerusalem is the largest city in Israel. It has around 900,000 people, so it's by far double the size of Tel Aviv, which comes after, around 400,000 people. And you can also see this dotted line over here, which is showing you the borders of Israel up until 1967. So Jerusalem was kind of cut in between with this border, known as West Jerusalem and East Jerusalem. And if we zoom into the old city, you can see how the old city is right by the border that was up until 1967. That means the Jews did not have access to their holy spots up until the Six-Day War in 1967. The old city was really at the edge of kind of right on the border. So let's talk a little about the old city itself. The old city is 1 square kilometer. It's you can see over here, it's a kilometer and a kilometer. It's 1 square kilometer over here. It has 4 different quarters. Let me move into this PowerPoint here. Sorry. I kind of drew this line over here on the computer, 4 different quarters. The largest quarter over here is the Muslim quarter. Around 29,000 people live in the Muslim quarter. Size-wise, you have the Christian quarter over here on the upper left, and that's around 3,000 people living over there. And then we have the Jewish quarter over here on the bottom right, around 5,000 people, and the Armenian quarter, which is kind of closed off more like a monastery. Sorry, I do want you to notice that the quarters, I mean, it doesn't mean throughout history there was always people living here and people living there, and Jews were living in the Muslim quarter, and even today, by the way, Muslims are living in the Christian quarter. There's no straight definition, but that's how it was divided, mainly by the British. And you could see over here, this big rectangle over here, that is Temple Mount, which we'll be speaking about a lot today. Temple Mount is 20% of the old city. So you can see it over here, and we're going to talk about all about Temple Mount, and kind of, if you have any questions about it, again, you should get a very good understanding after this tour today about how Temple Mount is built and what's going on over there. So this is about the old city. I'm going to go back to Google Earth over here, and let's continue with, before we get to the old city itself, we'll continue on the viewpoint from the Mount of Olives. You can see over here, we're standing on the Mount of Olives. We're east of the city. Okay, and we're looking down into Temple Mount over here. Below us is the Jewish cemetery. It's the oldest Jewish cemetery in the world. They found their burial caves dating back to the first temple period. So it's almost 3,000 years old, the cemetery over there. Again, these burial caves have even ancient Hebrew written on the top of them with different names, different biblical names. So it's the oldest Jewish cemetery, and also still active till today. Not so much room left there, but still active. And if we're looking right now, we're facing west, and we're looking down to the old city. So you can see the Golden Dome, the Dome of the Rock, up on Temple Mount. In front of us, we also see the eastern wall of Temple Mount, which is also the eastern wall of the old city. This gateway over here, which is blocked off, is a Byzantine gateway, also known as the Golden Gate, if any of you know about it. So that's probably what it is. And so we have Temple Mount. We have here the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is this gray dome over here. And in the background, we have here this other large gray dome is the Church of the Sepulchre in the Christian quarter. Okay, and so we have here the Muslim quarter over here, Christian quarter in the back. In the horizon in the background, you do see the center of town, the center of Jerusalem, with the different high buildings. And if we move to this part over here, you can see this dome over here that I'm pointing at. That's the synagogue in the Jewish quarter. We'll be standing there later on in just a few minutes from now. Okay, so this is the Jewish quarter over here. I want to zoom out for just a second to show you the city of David, which is stretched out right over here. Okay, the city of David today is actually outside the walls of the old city. So the core old part of Jerusalem, which is the city of David and the Canaanite city, which is 4,000 years old, is today outside the walls of the old city. We're going to speak about the walls in just a moment. So this is the city of David. And later on, we'll be down in the bottom of the city of David over here, talking about the Shiloh pool. So you can kind of get a nice view of that over here. We're going to face south right now. You see the Judean hills. If you drive right now from where we're standing, an hour south of us, you would get to the first capital of King David, the city of Hebron. So this is an hour south of us. And behind us, if we turn around, we can't see it over here, but we're really at the border of the desert. So if you remember the map I just showed you before about Jerusalem, Jerusalem is really bordering the Judean desert behind us. And that's actually where I live, in the Judean desert. So this is it. And yeah, so there's a nice view. And when you do come to Jerusalem, make sure to come up to the Mount of Olives. It's probably the nicest viewpoint you'll get. We're going to continue on to Jaffa Gate. Okay, so normally if I would be meeting you on a regular day and you're touring Jerusalem, I'd say, let's meet at 9 o'clock at Jaffa Gate, unless I'll pick you up from the hotel, but usually meeting over here. And here we are standing in Jaffa Gate. You can see the walls of the old city, which are relatively new walls. Okay, they're only 500 years old. I say new because the walls that you do see inside the old city and in the city of David date back thousands of years. So these walls are relatively new, 500 years. And I'll turn around for just a second, and you see the center of town, the center of Jerusalem over here, the higher buildings. This is the King David Hotel, if you heard about it. It's a very famous hotel in Jerusalem. And so this is the new part, and we're going to walk in to the old part. Okay, let's walk up against the walls over here. And the walls were built by the Ottomans, the emperor. And you could see here up on the wall over here it's not ancient Arabic, but it's not readable regular Arabic. You can see the writing up over here on the walls talking about Suleiman the Great, the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, building these walls 500 years ago. And here we are inside Jaffa Gate. So let's step inside Jaffa Gate, by the way, because this is, if you would back then be leaving towards Jaffa, this is the gate you'd be leaving. This is the road to Jaffa is over there. Okay, and I want us to look over here to our right. Notice over here, we walked inside the walls, okay? Jaffa Gate's right behind us over there, and you could see there's a little fortress inside at the entrance. Okay, there's a moat over here below us where these people are waving, and there's a little moat. The moat actually used to be larger, but there's a fortress over here inside the old city. Now, why is this fortress over here? Or this area is actually called the Tower of David. Okay, Tower of David. You know, I'm gonna jump back to Jaffa Gate for a second. Sorry to make you guys dizzy. But the Tower of David, also known as the Tower of David Museum. This is the, this is the kind of the iconic Tower of David. It has nothing to do with King David. The reason it was named the Tower of David is actually a mosque, not a mosque over here. This one over here, because this is one of the high points in the city. And throughout history, usually the military, the army forces used to sit in the high point, so they had a fortress. Now, in the business, it's mentioned in the Bible when David conquers Jerusalem that he settles in the fortress of the city. So around 1700 years ago, when the Byzantines, right, the first Christian era of Jerusalem, the Byzantines come to the city, they see the fortress and they say, oh, fortress, Jerusalem, it's probably David's fortress, right? It's David's citadel, and this is probably the Tower of David. So that's how it gets its name. Again, it has nothing to do with King David. I showed you before where David's city was, and that's, today it's outside though. It's not far from us, but King David's Jerusalem did not extend to this point. If you would be standing over here 2,000 years ago and be looking over here, you would be seeing these three beautiful buildings, which are built by King Herod. I'm sure many of you heard about him. This is a Jewish Roman king living over here 2,000 years ago. And right at the entrance to the area where we're standing was these three very tall, magnificent buildings. And this building over here on the left, actually the base of the building is still over there. So we're gonna go back to, just jump inside over here to see the base. Today in the Tower of David, where we're talking about, what I'm talking about. By the way, the Old City Police is still in the Tower of David today. And it's but if you do go there, there's a museum for the history of Jerusalem. You can see here the base of this tower. Let's step to our left here. A little more. Yes. And the base of the tower over here, the base of this tower is actually that same tower from 2,000 years ago. So that base is still standing over here. And throughout history, really, this was the fortification of Jerusalem, the citadel of the city. Right now we're kind of on the border between the Armenian quarter on our right and the Muslim quarter over here. We can continue walking down over here to the bazaar, the Arab market. What we're going to do is we're going to skip ahead to fast forward and just jump to the Jewish quarter. And right now we're standing in the heart of the Jewish quarter. Okay, this white dome I just showed you a few minutes ago when we were on the Mount of Olives. So And this is a synagogue called the Churva, which means the destroyed synagogue. Why would you call a beautiful synagogue that cost $20 million? Call it the destroyed? Because it was actually built on a destroyed one. But it's not only one time it was destroyed. In the last 800 years, the synagogue over here was destroyed around 4 times. This one over here was built in 2010. And it's an exact replica of the synagogue that was there in the 19th century. The synagogue over here, during the 19th century, since the synagogue was built, again, it's a very high dome. We saw it from the Mount of Olives. Very beautiful synagogue. It was kind of the pride of the Jews of Jerusalem. That's where they anointed the chief rabbis, and all the special gatherings were done in the synagogue over there. So this is the dome over here. Again, destroyed 4 different times, and again rebuilt just a little more than 10 years ago. So this is the Churvan. This is the heart of the Jewish quarter. We're heading downwards. Okay, and we're gonna head down to overlook Temple Mount, because that's our goal. Okay, so I jumped ahead over here, and right now we're standing on a roof of kind of a Jewish school called Esha Torah, and we're overlooking, and you can see here in the distance the Mount of Olives. That's where we were standing before, and we're looking down. This crane, by the way, is not here anymore. This is they built here the Western World Heritage Foundation Center. So, and what are we actually looking at is, we can see over here a Temple Mount, right? You can see the Dome of the Rock, the Golden Dome over here, and the trees that are up on Temple Mount, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque over here. And you can also see the Western Wall, also known as the Wailing Wall. Okay, why the Wailing Wall? Because the Western Wall for a few hundred years has been a point of prayer for the Jews coming to Jerusalem. And when you come to Jerusalem, you're filled with emotion, and most people, I guess, used to cry, okay, from emotion, and also crying over the destruction of Jerusalem from 2,000 years ago. So it got the name the Wailing Wall. Why do we call it the Western Wall? Because it's the Western Wall of Temple Mount. Now, Temple Mount, we saw before, is 20% of the old city. The Western Wall starts over here. Okay, we'll be standing down over there, and it continues into the Muslim quarter, around below this mosque. There's a big portion of the Muslim quarter that's built on the wall. So the wall is still there, but houses are built on it. So you can't really access it. You could go underneath the houses. The Western Wall Tunnel tour, that's a different tour. Highly recommend it. So if we look at this viewpoint over here, so we're looking down to the Muslim quarter. Over here, behind us is the Christian quarter. Yeah, that's maybe one of the domes of the Church of the Sepulchre. And so we're in the Jewish quarter looking down to the Western Wall Plaza. Now, what is the Western Wall? When was it built? What's this Golden Dome? What is Temple Mount? I'm going to address that right now. Let's start with talking about when did this place become holy? Okay, it's very basic. Talk about the temple, the pilgrimage to Jerusalem. But when did it all start? So in the Jewish tradition, okay, this area right over here, there's a mountain called Mount Moriah. Okay, and where do we know Mount Moriah from? I'm sure many of you know it. Okay, from the story of the binding of Isaac, Abraham and Isaac, right? God tells Abraham, go to the land of Moriah, and I'll sacrifice your son on the mountain, then I'll show you. In the Jewish tradition, Mount Moriah is over here. Why don't we see a mountain, right? Where's the mountain? What happened? So I'll get to that in a moment. So again, Mount Moriah over there. When did this place actually become holy? When they started building the temple over here. And that refers, first of all, we'll start off with the book of Deuteronomy. It's mentioned many times when you come to your land, right? And God will show you the place, Hamakom. And over there, he will dwell his presence among you. And you, right? And you'll go to the Makom, you'll go to the place, right? 3 times a year. So the place is mentioned many times in the book of Deuteronomy. It doesn't say what place though. It says when you go there, God will show you that place. When is this place revealed? So in the book of Samuel, right? In the end of the book of Samuel, there's a plague, and David counts the people, right? I'm not going to get into the story right now, but it's mentioned how the angel of death is over there, and David goes outside his city to meet the angel of death. And it's saying, take me. And he says, stop hurting the people. Take me and my family because I'm the one who sinned. And that is when that place is revealed. That is the place where David, that's where the plague stops. And that holy spot that God chose is revealed in that moment with David in the end of the book of Samuel. Where was this spot? Okay, again, outside the city of David. The city of David is down over here, and it would be up over here on the top of the mountain. Okay, in a place called Goren Ornan, or Goren Arnava, and that's where the holy spot begins, and that's where King Solomon builds the temple. Okay, so where does he build the temple? Right up on Temple Mount. I'm gonna go back to PowerPoint over here just to check out this. You can see over here the city of David. This is a famous area, the city of David over here. Again, things have changed the way they draw it out today. And you can see here David's palace. And in the top of the mountain over here, you can see here the Solomon's temple. Now, in the Jewish tradition, why is that place holy? Right? Obviously, God chose that place. But why that place? Because over there is what we call the peak of Mount Moriah. It's called the foundation stone. Foundation stone, it's, in Hebrew, Even Ashtiyah, from the word Tashtit, foundation. That's the spiritual connection between heaven and earth. Okay, that's where the earth started evolving, not in a physical way, but in a spiritual way. Okay, so the connection to the heavens, the connection to the spiritual is on the top of the mountain. I'm talking for 5 minutes already about the mountain, but you have no idea what I'm talking about because there's no mountain over here. And this is where we're going to get to what happened, okay? So we said Solomon built a temple over here, and I want us to kind of I'm going to peel off all these layers that we see over here and try to, sorry, wrong screen, try to get an understanding of the topography of the area, okay? So this is a topographical map. You can see over here in gray the old city, the borders of the old city, and over here you see Temple Mount. And you could see over here it's at right the top of the mountain. This is the city of David where I'm pointing at. Okay, the Kidron Valley on the right. And the top of the city of David, if you continue going all the way up, eventually you'll get to the top of Mount Moriah. Okay, and again, that's where the foundation stone is. That's where Solomon built the first temple. I have another map here that's kind of exaggerated just to kind of emphasize what I'm talking about. Okay, you do see here the city of David. You see here the Mount of Olives on the right. On the left, you see here what we call today Mount Zion, even though biblical Mount Zion is Mount Moriah, or the Western Hill. Okay, in this area, and you see here the city of David. In the middle, you have here Mount Moriah, right, Har Moriah. And behind there, you have a little higher part. It's not continuous, but it's behind it is like in the northern part of the old city. So right over here is Mount Moriah. Okay, so again, it's not geographical map exactly. It's kind of emphasizing my point over here, which is city of David, and the top of the city of David is the mountain. By the way, every time I see this map, or even if you're standing in the city of David or on Mount Moriah, and you look around, you see all the mountains around, reminds us of a verse in Psalms. Forgot which one, but in Hebrew it says, Yerushalayim arim saviv la ve'Hashem saviv le'amo. Jerusalem has mountains all around it, and Jerusalem is surrounded by mountains, and so that's how God surrounds his people. So whoever wrote that verse was obviously knowing the geography of the area over here, mountains around, and this is Mount Moriah. Let's move forward over here. 2,000 years ago. Okay, now again, I peeled off the top layer where we saw the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And you can see here the mountain that's revealed underneath. Now, 2,000 years ago, King Herod, again, the king that he had a lot of funds and he was very successful politically. He wants to show his power, and he's building the temple and rebuilding the temple in Jerusalem. Now, back then, we had, let's say, if we had here, looking for that slide here. Yeah, let's use this. This is the mountain over here. Okay, he wants to build a plaza. Now we have a plaza, right? We have the plaza over here. Solomon's, let's say on the top of the mountain, around this size over here, is the plaza of consider the plaza, the platform of Solomon's temple, and later on the second temple of Jerusalem. By the way, I didn't say time periods. I know King Solomon around 3,000 years ago, right? Building the first temple that stood for a little more than 400 years, and temple was destroyed by the Babylonians. I'm sure many of you know this. I'm just kind of running through. And after 70 years, the temple is rebuilt by the people coming back from Babylon. Okay, so they rebuild on the same exact spot, on the same exact, again, this is the foundation stone that you see over here, the peak of the mountain. And also later on the Maccabees, when they kind of fix up the temple, they build in this area. What does Herod want to do? Herod does everything big, and he wants to double the size of the plaza. And what he starts off by doing is nothing less than probably the biggest construction project in the ancient world. Okay, he doubles the size of this platform. How does he do that? By building retaining walls around the mountain. Okay, now remember that right on the left of the mountain over here, there's another valley, but it doesn't care. And he's going to build the way he wants to build. And what he starts again is a gigantic project of building this plaza. Okay, the Temple Mount is around 35 acres. Okay, 35 acres is enormous, 20% of the old city. It's the biggest man-made plaza till this day, by the way. How are you going to build such a big plaza? You're going to surround the mountain with these retaining walls, western, southern, eastern, and northern wall. Between the walls, you're going to pour in piles of dirt and build massive, massive arches. And above these arches, you're going to build this gigantic plaza, as we know of Temple Mount. The peak of the mountain over here was left uncovered. Why? Because that's where the temple stood, right over the peak of the mountain. Remember, that's the holy spot. Okay? So, I'll show you one more slide here. Where is that? There we are. Sorry. Yeah. You can see over here, this small square over here is probably the original Temple Mount. And this is, most assumptions are more or less like this. Original Temple Mount over here. And Herod basically doubles the size of Temple Mount, stretching out to the south, to the west a little, and mainly to the north, creating the Temple Mount as we know today. Right over the foundation stone is the temple. Okay, is the temple, and that's the stone. I'm going to go back to now. I said filling up Temple Mount. Okay, if we would stand over here by the edge of the southern wall, we'll be here soon, by the way. Western wall, southern wall. This whole area is up in the air. Okay, it's up in the air. This is the Al-Aqsa Mosque over here. If you go on the other side of the wall, which you can actually access it from the other side, you would see this. This is just an assumption how it looked like 2,000 years ago. Very, very glorious, very nice. But you can see the whole area is filled with arches. Many, many arches holding up this plateau over here of this gigantic project. Okay. Specifically the arches that you see over here. Some of the arches, again, you could see the original arches. In this picture over here, we're seeing an extension of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Arches are probably built or reinforced by the Crusaders, by the Temple Knights. Why were they called the Temple Knights? I'm sure you heard of them. Okay, because then they actually were located where the temple stood, on Temple Mount. That's where the Temple Knights lived. So these are most likely Crusader arches. So just to conclude what we spoke about till now, we have here Temple Mount, the biggest man-made plaza in history, 35 acres. Okay, what is the Western Wall? The Western Wall is this gigantic, plaza, the gigantic, very long wall starting over here, around 1,500 feet long, holding up Temple Mount. And on the top of the mountain, you have this building. What's this building called? He said the Dome of the Rock. What rock? The foundation stone. Okay, so the foundation stone we have over here. And if we would peek inside the Dome of the Rock, let's go for a visit over there. Okay, so we're standing right now up on Temple Mount. Okay, look at this very big plaza. Right behind us right now is the Western Wall. These houses are built on the Western Wall itself. If you'd walk around over here, again, very, very big plaza. And this is the Dome of the Rock. I'm going to go back to a little history over here. 2,000 years ago, after a little more, less than 2,000 years ago, 70 years after Herod completes the magnificent building of the second, rebuilding the temple, which was known as one of the nicest buildings back then. It's destroyed in the year 70 by the Romans. Romans come, they destroy the city, and this place is left in ashes for, say, around 600 years. Until eventually the Muslims come over here, and in the year 691, build this building over here. We call it the Dome of the Rock. This is the original building. The dome has collapsed throughout history, but the base of the building is the same. What rock? Let's walk inside. And right now we're standing right underneath the dome. Okay, we're standing right over the foundation stone. So you can see the building around us. Now, this place where I'm standing right now, 2,000 years ago, first of all, today I wouldn't be going up there for purity reasons, but generally, since the last 20 years, only Muslims are allowed inside this building. But back then, right, if we'd be standing over here 2,000 years ago, we'd be standing in the Holy of Holies. Okay, the temple, the back section of the temple, the Holy of Holies, that's where the Ark of the Covenant stood. You all know the Ark of the Covenant from Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? So that Ark that was in the tabernacle, again, they brought to the temple and put by Solomon in the Holy of Holies. Again, on the peak of the mountain, the holy spot in the foundation stone. That's where we're standing right now. During the second, after the destruction of the first temple, the ark is disappeared, maybe buried by one of the kings before, maybe taken by the Babylonians. Nobody really knows. During the second temple period, this place is empty. Okay, that means you have the gigantic temple, but the room itself is empty, and which is very, very kind of weird in the eyes of the Romans. When they come visit the land of Judea, the land of the Jews, the Roman historians speak about how the Jews have only one temple in the land, and inside that temple, in the holiest spot, what do you have there? Nothing. Okay? And in the eyes of a pagan world, that's very weird, right? You'd expect to have like a statue, a few statues, but no, how do the Jews connect to their God, to the infinite, right? They don't cast him into a statue, but they leave it in the vast and the open. It's a very fascinating idea in the times of the Romans back then, and even the Romans speak about it as well. So this is where we are right now. And yeah, so right over the Holy of Holies and the foundation stone. Again, in the Jewish faith, this is the holiest place in the world. Any questions, by the way? Not many of us, but feel free to jump in. Wait, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna go back to our viewpoint here. By the way, this last point is, why did the Jews pray by the Western Wall? Okay, because from all places, from all the four walls, the closest you could get to the holy spot is from the western side. Okay, so really the Western Wall is the closest you can get to the holy spot. It's not the holiest place, it's the closest you can get to the holy place. Where we're going right now, guys, is we're going down to this whole area to my right over here is one very large archaeological dig. And we're gonna jump down over there, see what they found.
Just one quick question, Lavi.
Yeah.
You showed in a very clear way that the Temple Mount, as we know it today, was really a plaza over a mountain which has all of these how do you call them, walls? The walls that
retaining walls.
The retaining walls, right. So if I understood correctly, there's a huge volume of space underneath the plaza for building anything that one could imagine. In other words, when the temple was built um, Herod, it must have been he could have built underneath an entire city almost. What do we know about various tunnels or spaces underground spaces that exist there?
Okay, so thank you for the question. So if right now we're standing by the corner of the wall, okay, if I would be on the other side of the wall, what would I be seeing? Arches, massive arches. And I'll go back to my PowerPoint over here. Okay, this is most likely how it looked like. Okay, gigantic arches, very large columns, holding up the whole construction. Okay, today this looks like this. This is one extension of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Okay, which is because underground the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Several years ago, maybe a little less than 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, the Muslims up on Temple Mount actually dig deeper and on the southeastern corner, and they create a mosque for 30,000 people, all underneath, which kind of shakes the foundation of the walls because they didn't do it with proper engineering. You're building into digging up a 2,000-year-old construction. But yes, to answer your question, there's a lot of space underneath, and till today, the Al-Aqsa Mosque and what's called the Solomon Stables is there. So tens of thousands of people can go underground today and pray, the Muslims.
But I presume that only takes up maybe I don't know, maybe 20% or 25% of what exists there. So there's probably a lot of that has not yet been open to the public. And if I understand correctly, various attempts to go underneath there typically did not end well.
Right. Well, yeah, if you're referring to that, I mean, there wasn't never a proper archaeological dig up on Temple Mount, which is crazy. This is the holiest place in the world for the Jews. It's third holiest for the Muslims. I didn't get to the Muslim story. From all around the world, but again, there wasn't a proper archaeological dig, so really don't know what's underneath. So one could say, the temple never existed because we never found anything over there, which is true because nobody ever dug, so you really don't find any remains of the temple. Till this day, when the Muslims did that dig in around 15 years ago, sorry, it was in 96. So till today, there's piles of dirt that are being sifted, of the dirt coming up from Temple Mount. And they found there, I'll show you one thing that they found over there later on. The only guy who did dig over here was, he's less an archaeologist, more like looking for the Ark of the Covenant, was I think it was an American or a British guy called Parker. And he bribes the guards up by the Dome of the Rock, and he's the only one actually goes underground over there. It's in the 1920s. He goes underground, digging up, and eventually the Muslims heard about this again, I think he's American. It's American digging up on Temple Mount on their sacred spot. So eventually Parker gets on the first boat out of here, runs for his life, leaves everything behind, and archaeologists digging up different areas in Jerusalem today still find remains of Parker. But since Parker, nobody was really digging up over there. Okay, let's continue now to the street. So we're standing over here on the Second Temple Street. And we're at the corner of the Western Wall. You can see here, there's some stores and shops over here along the way. And originally we prepared, for this summit, we prepared a video. It's supposed to be a series of videos. Technicality reasons it didn't work out, but we do have, I will show you a video over here that we did for this, on this part, for this specific summit. So let's hope it works. Enjoy.
So here we are, guys. We walk down and we're standing on the original street of Jerusalem from 2,000 years ago. This is it. This is the original street. I personally get very excited when I walk these streets, knowing that these are the same tiles that my forefathers coming to Jerusalem on Sukkot, on Passover, on different occasions, were walking on these same tiles 2,000 years ago. The street is located alongside the western wall, and you can see it over here to your right. And the western wall is actually very long. Remember, it's a retaining wall, so it's holding up this gigantic plaza on the top. And I want you to notice one stone over here to your right. Okay, actually, there's two stones that are very similar, very long stones. You can see here the corner of the wall, right? And if you kind of get a good look, you can see that one of these stones over here is very, very long. The stones of the walls are massive. The smaller stones are around 2 to 3 tons. The largest stone, it's not this one, maybe one in a different tour, is close to 570 metric tons. One stone, one of the largest stones in the world, was placed in the Western Wall, as I mentioned before, the biggest construction project in the ancient world. So here we are by the Western Wall itself. But if you'd be walking over here 2,000 years ago, strolling around the streets of Jerusalem, what would you be doing? You wouldn't be praying, right? Because where would you pray? Obviously up on Temple Mount. But if you'd be walking around the streets of Jerusalem back then, as you can see over here, we found here stores and shops along the streets. And what would you be doing over here? Both sides, by the one over here, the other one on the other side, there's a little construction over here, as I mentioned. You would be maybe buying some spices, maybe eating a falafel, maybe even buying a sacrifice to take up with you to Temple Mount. But over here is not the place of prayer, but this is the main street of Jerusalem. Okay, it continues all along the wall, eventually different entrances up to Temple Mount, and it's going to continue all the way down southwards, all the way to the bottom of the valley to the Shiloach pool, which we're going to go next. The street was so packed with people that right now I'm standing over one of the first overpasses that were found in history. Okay, if you look up over there, and you look up, you can see here there's kind of a beginning of an archway. This arch was actually an overpass that connected to the shops behind me, and people would walk up on this arch and go inside Temple Mount. If you look down over here, you can see the tiles of the street, specifically in this spot, are completely shattered. They're broken. Because in the destruction of Jerusalem in the year 70, this arch fell, and a massive stone, probably around 200 tons, crashed and destroyed the tiles of the street. So you can actually see it over here. And if you look at the wall itself, you could see that the limestone over here is black. Okay, it's black from the fire. Okay, actually limestone could catch fire after a while, and it's cracked. And we know in the year 70, when the Romans destroyed Jerusalem, they burned down the city. And it's mentioned how the city is up in flames for quite a while. And anybody walking in the distance can actually see the fire coming from Jerusalem. So you actually see here the physical destruction of Jerusalem by the Romans in the year 70. I want to go back to our pilgrim, that person coming here from afar, from close, from wherever. Before he's going to go up to Temple, he's walking on the streets. He's eating his lunch, he's buying his sacrifice, but before he goes up, he's going to go to one more place. Come. Now, just a moment about where we're walking around. I know it's hard to see, but the street level up until maybe the 80s was up over there. If you see that building behind, this whole place was covered with massive amount of dirt, just covered up. In the 80s, Israeli archaeologists started digging up, and they revealed the street that we were just standing on before, and a bunch of different antiquities from back then. And they revealed this, which is also very interesting. Okay? We're looking at the bedrock of the mountain, And you do see here stairs going down to the mountain inside. And what you're actually going through right now is nothing less than a Jewish ritual bath from 2,000 years ago. This is only one out of many ritual baths that were found in the area. Actually, in the old city, I think there's around 170 ritual baths that were found. That's a lot, a lot, a lot. Why do we need so many ritual baths? That's because any person that's actually going up to Temple Mount is going to walk through a ritual bath to immerse himself, to become pure. This one was so busy, and again, you have thousands of people here a day, not only in this one, but in many around, that this is, you can see here, there's a little wall alongside the ritual bath. So people the guys who are not pure yet would be walking down over here, immersing in the water, and then walking up from here. And why is it? Why do we find here so many ritual baths? And I think this is a moment to talk about purity. I said every person, men or women, would be going to a ritual bath, obviously separately. But before you go up to the holy place, before you go up to Temple Mount, you're going to have to walk through the ritual bath. What is a ritual bath? Or maybe I'll ask a more basic question. What is purity? So in Hebrew, the word for purity is tahara. Tahor means pure. Impurity, which you don't have a word for in English, in Hebrew has a word for it, it's called tameh, to be impure. So what is impure? What is purity? I wonder if how many of you could try to explain what does it mean? I think it's a good question. I kind of thought about it a while ago. But to try to figure out what purity is, I think we could figure it out from the opposite, from impurity. How does one become impure? And you become impure from different aspects. Let's say you come in contact with a dead person, you become impure, which is the worst type of impurity. If you come in contact with, if you touch a dead insect, right? That's impurity. And it's mentioned in the Bible and also in the books after that, how does a person become impure and how does he purify after that? But the common denomination for all the impurity is you have to do with death. Okay? It's a dead person, dead insect, in different aspects. If you come in contact with death, you become impure. So if impurity symbolizes death, then purity would symbolize life. And I think that's one of the ideas of purity. And when you go inside the water, when you go inside the mikveh, let's step out a little. When you would go inside the water, there's three main rules about a mikveh. Mikveh, again, in Hebrew, a ritual bath. Three main rules are as follows. One is the water coming over here. The water needs to come here naturally. It needs to come here from the rain. Literally needs to rain, and the water needs to kind of gather up over here. It's not even if you take the water in buckets, rainwater is not good enough. It needs to come from nature. Also, by the way, a spring could be a ritual bath, or the sea, natural water could be a ritual bath. So again, that's rule number one, natural water. Rule number two, when you go inside the water, you can't have anything disconnect between you and the water. So no clothes, nothing on. You have to touch, the whole entire body needs to touch the water. And rule number three is you need to be all in. It means even if my little finger is outside the water, I won't become pure until my whole entire body is wrapped around with natural water. What does this remind us of? Maybe some of you guessed. Kind of reminds us of a baby in his mother's womb. We mentioned before, if impurity kind of symbolizes death, purity symbolizes life. How do you become pure? You go through this process of surrounding yourself in natural water. Just like a baby coming out into the world. Okay, he's starting life, everything's fresh. Okay, his future's in front of him. The idea behind this is when a person comes, he's going up to the holiest place in the world, I'll remind you. So it's a physical act of going inside the water, and you could make it just a physical act. But I think one of the ideas behind it, when you go inside, you're supposed to kind of maybe restart for a second. Maybe you could ask yourself, am I in the right direction in life? where have I gone wrong? Where's the path I do want to take? And these different, again, the idea of, again, a baby starting his future. Whatever happened in the past, it happened. And I'm going to pay for it. But I want to focus on the future. I want to focus on life. And when a person goes inside the ritual bath, the idea is focusing on life, trying to get him in that mindset before you're going up to the holy place, the holiest place in the world. You're going to try to maybe rethink things, trying to get in that moment of looking forward, choosing life, and making sure you're walking in the right path. This is the idea of water. Again, there's a lot of things obviously regarding this, but this is maybe one idea behind the ritual bath. I'm going to take you right now to the biggest water source in Jerusalem, the Shiloach Pool, that's in the bottom of the valley on the end of this street. Let's go.
Okay. So that was another guide, I know. Any questions, by the way, about what we saw here? Obviously, there's a lot of, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say that was wonderful. That was really a wonderful video. And the question of purification, I would just like to add perhaps this notion of also making sure that whatever we do, especially when we go to the mount where we know that God knows us intimately, He knows us very well. So if we have impure thoughts when we are there, then He of course knows. Impure thoughts typically in Judaism are thoughts that are very egocentric, when we are thinking about ourselves and what we're interested, what's in it for me, whereas the act of being altruistically caring for others is considered related to purity. So in many ways, we want to enter into that mindset also when we go up to the mount.
Okay, thank you. So there's a lot to speak about. That's just only one aspect of things. But we do know that 2,000 years ago, there was, again, a very, very big emphasis on purity. And we're gonna continue forward. I just want to mention, so again, you see the arch here that we spoke about. I showed you the video at the beginning of the arch. And this is the original street. These stairs over here on our left, you can actually walk today from the bottom of the city of David, from the Shiloach Pool. You can walk all the way up and underneath the street. Walk kind of in the sewage pipes, you could say, of back then. And kind of you come up over here. Let's continue forward. There's another view of the arch and this whole archaeological park. There's only one section of it. And really this whole area over here is just fascinating. Spending our whole day learning about things, learning about the different findings. They're still digging there today, by the way. Right now we are in the Shiloach Pool. Okay, we jump to the bottom of the city of David. Okay, and we're standing over here at the corner of the pool. And these are the original stairs, guys, from 2,000 years ago. Also, of the original pool from back then. Why is the Shiloach Pool such a big deal? First of all, it's the biggest water source in Jerusalem. Okay, the main spring of Jerusalem was the water there was diverted already in the first temple period by King Hezekiah. I'm sure many of you know the whole story with Hezekiah and the Assyrians and the siege on Jerusalem. So Hezekiah diverts the water to the pool, to this area over here where we are, from where originally came out. So again, when you visit the city of David, you can actually walk in Hezekiah's tunnel that ends over here. So the base of this pool over here was already from the times of King Hezekiah, from 2,700 years ago. What we see right now was uncovered even by accident, I would say. For many years, archaeologists were looking for the original Shiloach Pool. And a little more than 10 years ago, one archaeologist of the city of David was walking up the street behind us, over here, the street over here, and there was a sewage pipe that kind of burst, that popped. There was sewage coming out from this section over here. And they brought a bulldozer to start kind of digging up the sewage pipe, right? Why not? And while the bulldozer is digging down, he uncovers these stairs over here that you can see. And the archaeologist is looking and he sees the stair. He knows the Shiloh pool should be in this area. He runs, he stops the digging, right? You don't dig archaeology with a bulldozer. He stops the digging and they properly uncover this side of the pool. The pool is pretty big. It's 150 feet, 50 meters to every direction. Right now we're standing at the corner of it. So there's 50 meters to this way, and it continues over here. Most of the pool is not dug up, unfortunately. There's a lot of issues owning the land and stuff like that. So the land is owned by one of the churches that doesn't allow us to dig. And so you can see here so most of the pool is not uncovered, but really they did uncover this whole side of the pool. And this is already the bottom of the pool over here. Why is it a big deal? So again, it's the biggest water source. It's also mentioned many times in our different books, in the Mishnah, different Jewish books from back then. One of the books are talking about, they talk about the pilgrimage, saying, from what age are you supposed to come to Jerusalem for the pilgrimage? So the sages answer saying, if a boy could be with his father, go to the Shiloh pool, and then walk all the way up to Temple Mount without his father carrying on his back, then he's allowed to do the pilgrimage. Okay, 1 second, I'm moving forward here. What is that? There you go. Here's a drawing of the Shiloh pool. So a boy walking by his father. But if the father needs to carry the boy on his shoulders, like you can see in the drawing over here, that boy could stay home. He doesn't have to do the pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Okay, so this is the biggest water source. And it's very exciting because during the times of Sukkot, there was a very big celebration over here. They used to march down from the temple. I'm going to go back to Google Earth for a second and kind of go over the old city just for us to kind of get a better look at things over here. Okay, so again, the Shiloh pool is down over here, and there's a very nice uphill, you can say, and the temple would be up over here, up on Temple Mount. So what they used to do during the festival of Sukkot, right, the Feast of the Tabernacle, every single day, used to march down from the temple, march down the street, same street you were standing on before, and go down to the Shiloh pool, or they used to draw water and march back up, all the way up to the temple and pour the water on the altar. Now, it wasn't just a regular march. This was one big party, one big festival. It's mentioned how you had thousands of people. It doesn't say how many people, but it mentioned how you have people. Here's another nice drawing of the street itself from the Shiloh leading all the way up to Temple Mount. How all the people are singing and dancing and playing instruments, and there was like a lot of things going on over here. Here's another drawing of like the festival, the drawing of the water, Simchat Beit HaShoeva in Hebrew. So the festival, the drawing of the water. And it was one big celebration. And it's mentioned that if you never saw this celebration, then you don't know what happiness is. That's how our books from back then, again, the priests and everyone was dancing and singing, doing this drawing of the water. Now, why was happiness essential for the times of Sukkot? It's another aspect during the holiday, is because, and it's actually mentioned in Deuteronomy, right? V'samachta b'chagecha v'ayita ach sameach. You shall be joyous in your festival and Sukkot. Okay, why? Why is happiness such an issue? Specifically, it's not doing Passover, not doing the other festival, but doing Sukkot specifically. Happiness is emphasized. Is for the reason is that we have Sukkot we have to look at it from a agricultural point of view. Okay, Sukkot is the end of the agricultural year. Right? The year starts usually in the winter, right, when it starts raining, and then the land is wet enough to plow for the first time, and then you plant the seeds. Rains again, you cover up the seeds, and that's how when the agricultural year starts. In the times of Sukkot, right, you're at the end of that cycle, the end of the agricultural year. And this is a time to stop and relax and just enjoy and be thankful for the past. Okay, if I need to give it like a kind of an example for our days, it's like you wake up in the morning very early and you drive to work for an hour and a half sitting in traffic and go to the office and you're in front of the computer and this and that and phone calls and this, the whole day, and then you're rushing back to take your kid out from, from his class there and bring it to a friend's house. And at already 7 o'clock, you're sitting down for dinner, and 8 o'clock, you're help bathing your kids and putting your kids to sleep. It's already like 9:30. At least in my house, we're kind of late. But at the end of the day, when everyone's sleeping, that's the time where you like taking like a nice cold beer or a glass of wine, and you sit down on your couch, and you say, just lived through another day. It's a time to just stop and be thankful for what you just went through for this day. Kind of time to relax, to take in your experience. And this is the idea of Sukkot. We're at the end of the cycle of the agricultural year. We went through, planting and waiting for the rain, and with all the anxiety of is it going to rain or not? And the whole aspect, of harvesting and this and that. And here we're at the end. We're at the end of the year. It's time to gather up our things together, prepare for the next year, and give thanks. And just relax and be thankful. And this is why happiness is essential during the festival of Sukkot. Also, water, I forgot to mention, is essential. Why do we pour water on the altar? Because we're praying for rain. Remember, Israel is a country that we don't have so many water sources. We're depending on rainwater. And a farmer back then, if it's not going to rain that year, there's a good chance he's not going to have what to eat, literally. So we're very much dependent on rain, and Sukkot is the time we start praying for water. So the idea of drawing the water from the Shiloh pool and pouring it up by Temple Mount, by the temple, is the idea of, God, please bless us with another good year, with another year of rain. So we spoke about the happiness and spoke about the water, and we're going to go to our last stop over here, go to our last stop over here. After we walked up the street, we will get to the gateways of Temple Mount. Okay, so we're standing over here by the gateway of Temple Mount, and I'm going to show another short video. Right, we still have time. It's not a long video. Second.
So we're back over here, and we are standing right by the southern wall of Temple Mount. Okay, you can actually still see till this day remains of the two main gates that were over here. One of them over there to my left. See that arch there over that arch over there? Kind of teaches us that behind that there used to be a path. There used to be an opening over here that you would walk underneath Temple Mount and kind of pop up right before the temple. And there's another gateway over there. Right now it's triple arches. Back then it was probably a double gateway. But again, over there was an underground pass that leads up to Temple Mount, right where that family is standing. These gates are called the Hulda gates. And there's two of them, okay? Why are they two? Because the idea was when you go up to Temple Mount, this is only one way, one way in and one way out. You would go up from that side over there, walk around Temple Mount, walk around the temple, and exit from here. Now, but there were some people, by the way, that used to walk inside from here. Used to walk inside the wrong way, and people, hey guys, you're going, used to honk. Not really, but used to tell them you're going the wrong way. What's going on? And the people who used to come in the wrong way used to say they had a few issues going on, and that's why they went in from there. They said, "Oh, avel anochi, I'm in mourning. I lost someone from my family." And people used to bless them. Oh, may the Lord who dwells in this place comfort you. Or somebody who would be outcasted. Why are you coming in this way? I'm outcasted. Oh, may the Lord who dwells in this place give in the hearts of the people to bring you back. So this place, actually, very interestingly enough, other than being the spiritual connection between man and God, there was also something over here that connected the people. This is where you used to come and share your status with everyone. Okay? If your status is, again, you're in mourning, then how do you let everybody know? You walk in the wrong way and you go against traffic. if your status is, different statuses, and that's where, so the place of Temple Mount is actually very interesting to see that it's not only that spiritual place between and divine connection to God, it's also connection to one another. That's where the people connected, the Jews connected over here, 3 times a year, coming over here and connecting. I would just, again, try to get into that mindset of someone that was waiting to come over here. You know, some farmer from the south or from the north of Israel coming over here. It's a journey. It could take him a week to get here, even more. He's coming over here with this awe to the holy place. And after a long journey, walking the streets and going to the mikveh, immersing himself, he's finally ready to stand and have that special moment, that spiritual moment between him and God. He'd be walking up over here, even the stairs behind me. You can see they're not even, because the idea is you shouldn't run. You kind of walk slowly. It's hard to run these stairs when they're not even. Again, the idea was take your time, do it properly, make it matter, make it count, make this special moment happen. So again, seeing the temple from afar, immersing, walking the streets, eventually going up, and he would end his journey right when he stands by the temple, maybe giving a sacrifice, maybe just praying. But it would be probably one of the most special moments in that person's, I don't know if life or in doing that year. People were expecting it, especially in the times of Sukkot, the festival of gathering in Jerusalem. Jews and also non-Jews coming over here, having a great time, great festival, great special moments would connect the people to God and the people to one another.
Okay, so yeah, so that was again one more aspect I wanted to kind of share with you guys. Wait, you can't see my. There you go. Sorry. So one more aspect I wanted to share with you guys again was that idea of, we don't normally see it, but Temple Mount being a place of connection not only to God but to one another. It's mentioned in one of the books also from back then. Jerusalem is a city that connects the people. Okay, so even from this short story that I told you of going in the wrong way, which these people, you could understand the center of life over here, the center of, it's not only the spiritual center, it's also the social center, you can say, is up on Temple Mount. And again, all these feelings would a person going up there would have, well, I assume, would have while visiting the temple. So just I just want to fill in a few things. We're standing by the southern wall. I forgot to mention it, I think, over there, where the southern wall of the city. The Al-Aqsa Mosque is over here. I showed you the gateways over here, and I'll jump to the other gateway. Okay, see this today. This is how it looks today. This is a triple arch. Back then, probably a double arch. It was blocked off, probably in the times of the Crusaders. Why is it blocked off? Because every gateway needs a guard. Every opening needs a guard. So if you don't have manpower, you might as well just fill it in. So this would be the entrance, and these are the stairs walking up. So you walk down all the way from the Shiloh pool, walking up this way, and again, just walking up. And after the mikveh, your heart is pounding and beating, and you're just ready for that special moment to happen. And you would probably take this moment with you. If you do it properly, probably take this moment for the whole year round. So this is where we are, and we're gonna end over here saying goodbye at the gateways to the city. And I really hope you all enjoy the tour, and I really hope actually to see you physically in Jerusalem, not only virtually, walking the streets of the city and taking in as much as we can from this amazing place. So thank you very much, Toda Rabah, and have a great holiday, great festival.
Thank you so much.
Any questions, by the way, go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. That was amazing.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any questions?
No, now I just want to go.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, hopefully, as we say, next year in Jerusalem.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Next
Yeah.
year in Jerusalem, by the way, will have a very special meaning because it'll also be the Sukkot after the sabbatical year. where there's a special commandment of everybody coming together in the Hakel. So next year in Jerusalem could actually be very, very special.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you. That was a wonderful, wonderful presentation.
Yeah,
I
that was
learned so
very
much.
great.
And we really appreciate it. And this recording will be available for those who weren't able to make it at this hour, in the middle of the week, in the morning. So it will definitely be available. And once again, thank you so much. Chag
Okay.
Sameach.
My pleasure. Chag Sameach, everyone. Thank you.
Our next
Take care.
session will be in a few minutes. Okay, take care.
All right, thanks.